You know, unfortunately, we're in a country where they focus on the negatives more than the positives anyway. But it's funny that when you come from where I come from, it's not like you need a positive story to sell you. But it's like if you do something which I would consider normal, like passing your GCSEs or passing your A-levels, it's made the highlight of your career, which is supposed to be music driven. You know, they'd rather talk about that rather than your music success, because it's such a shock that you're doing something which I would consider normal. Like, I'm the only person from my school that got a whole bunch of A's and B's. You know, you see me in my hood, but I know how to articulate myself and come across like an educated person because I am. I just try and represent that, you know, it's not cool to be dumb. Like, a lot of people think like it's cool to not know anything. But knowledge is power, man. So I'm trying to show these people.
Okay, now talking about your album, I Am Chipmunk.
Yeah.
You got a song, Role Model.
Yeah.
Do you now, whether you like it or not, do you now have to take up the mantelpiece of being basically the role model for a lot of the youth out there?
I kind of been appointed as like the spokesman for issues amongst young people. Didn't ask for that, you know what I'm saying? I just want to make my music, and the reason I made that song was because that kind of answers any question that anyone could possibly fire at me about the role model situation. I'm just living my life. If you want to look up to me, look up to me. If you don't, adios amigos.
Now, Diamond Rings, I'm going to paraphrase what I think some of your comments were about Diamond Rings. You're saying that some people won't get it. You know, some people may not like it at first, but when it starts doing well in the charts, they will catch on.
Yeah.
How difficult is it that you know that you basically got a hit in your hands and you're facing backlash before it's even had a chance to get its shot?
Good question. It just gives you more drive, you know. A lot of artists have the ability to make hits, but not the ability to identify one. You know, a lot of people, for instance, there's people in my hometown that are amazing and they don't know it. You know what I'm saying? They're having the ability to make a song and the ability to realize when you have a hit to believe in yourself and go with it. It's two totally different things. The ability to write a rhyme and the ability to write a song is two totally different things. Once you realize that you can actually do both and put them together and execute a song, to be put on a backstore before you even release it, that just gives you more drive and it gives you more longevity, because when it does you well, it's kind of like, you know, there you go, and it gives you room for the next one.
At what point did you know in your career that you're not the average MC, in terms of you've had people like Lil Wayne who's saying they like your music, Simon Cowell's bringing you on the biggest TV show, but at what point did you identify that, you know, I've gone left when everyone else has gone right or straight?
When did I realise that I was on the next team? That's a good question. It's kind of like when everyone started dissing me, you know, when like you got a whole wave of MCs my age and even older ones as well, kind of like, who's this guy just saying a whole load of silly stuff. It's like, maybe I'm doing something right, you know, because no one's dissing you, you're not doing something right, you know. It's impossible to please everyone. I'm not really trying to affiliate myself with people that have no drive, so that was when.
Before you were signed as an artist, what was your ambition in terms of what you want to get out of the music industry?
Before I was signed, my ambition wasn't to get signed. You know, a lot of people, they just think, well, I want a deal. But naming no names, there's a few people that have had a deal and released singles and done rice screens, you know. So it's not about having a deal. It's about what you do when you're in the deal and what you leave with when you leave the deal. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are under the impression that if you're on a major record label, you're just going to fly. It's not that. You know, a lot of people have been signed this past couple of months, and it should be interesting to see what people do, you know, because the advantage that me and acts like Tinchy had and N-Dog is that we weren't exactly polished when we signed our deal, but we had our core fan base already, which we built ourselves, that no one could take away from us because we did it. You know, us and our teams in the studio, we never had no help, we never had no we had a PC, Cubase, and Fruit Loops. You know what I'm saying? We were making some hits. There was an underground club that we couldn't destroy. So it's like we took ourselves from 0 to 10. But not unfortunately, but more money is more power. The bigger the machine that pushes you, the further you can go. So a record label comes and takes us from 10 to 100 because we knew how to get from 0 to 10. Unfortunately, over here, they take an act from 0, especially coming from where we come from. They don't actually realize that to get from 0 to 10, that's the hardest part. You know, building a core fan base is entirely down to the artists themselves. There's no push, there's no money. You can do a million videos. If the people just don't take to you, they won't take to you. So the 0 to 10 is the hardest part, 10 to 100. That's what the majors do.
Yeah. Back onto your album, I think my favourite track is Dear Family.
Yeah.
Did you feel like you were letting a lot of your personal life come into that track, and were you kind of worried about putting it out there?
Yeah, I was. Good question. You know, I normally don't answer questions to do that song because every possible answer is in the song. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, that song was more. I didn't even want to put it on my album. That was more of my personal therapy to help me through the situation I was going through at the time. But it has been a standout track on my album, and the only place that you will ever see me perform that song is on my tour. Like, you never see me at a show supporting someone or a club or anything performing that song. So people that do really like it and want to see it live, you gotta come to my tour in February.
Alright, now in terms of hip hop, what would be your top 3 hip hop albums?
My personal top 3 hip hop albums. The Blueprint, Free, the new one. Kanye West, the Graduation. That's the second one, right? Yeah, Graduation. And the third one have to be. No, I can't have 2 from the same person. The third one's open to suggestion depending on what I'm going through at the time. But it will be out of the Black album and personally for me, 808s and Heartbreak, Kanye's second album. So Jay-Z and Kanye is battling who win.
How did you feel about the Mobos this year with you winning the awards, which you deserved, and people like Dizzy and Tinchy not getting that same recognition?
How did I feel? I ain't gonna lie, like on the day, it was a bit more like emotional than people would think, you get me? I personally felt Tinchy should have won something, but they say it's by the public vote, so it is what it is, you know. It's only made him a stronger person. He's had 2 #1 singles. That was kind of like the missing piece of the puzzle for this year. But we off that onto the next one. Like Tinchy's doing his thing. Dizzy's doing his thing. It's all good.
Yeah. And just rounding up, now that you've put out an album, how soon do you start working on the next one? And how it must be more difficult because you can't now just put out a next album next week. You have to now work this album probably for like maybe up to a year.
Yeah.
So is it difficult in terms of trying to work on the next album while still promoting the current one?
For me, how I do albums is, I don't even want to tell people my formula, but I'm comfy, you know. Music-wise, I'm cool. Like this I Am Chipmunk album, it's kind of been the benchmark for what an album should be from a UK urban artist, you know. If you listen to other albums, you listen to my one, you're going to hear the difference. I'm not saying mine is better, but you're going to hear the difference, which will be down for you to decide. So, everyone's going to try and top this one. I'm already on to the next one, musically. So, I'm cool, boy. You know, I Am Chipmunk was made a long time before you heard it. You know, the only songs that came off recent was The Interval and Look For Me, which is going to be the next single. Everything else made that way they ago, so that just shows that even if I'm making my music now to come out in 2 years, go on to the next one.
Okay, and finally to like the kids out there, as you're saying, you are a role model by no choice of your own. But what would you now say for those who want to follow in your footsteps into music, what advice would you give and what sacrifices do they have to make to get into your position?
You have to make a whole load of sacrifices. You're gonna lose some friends, but get on to the next one. You know, keep pure-hearted people around you, and if everyone says you can't, say you can. Even if in your brain you think you can't. Don't let anyone know that you have a hindrance in yourself. The easiest way to portray yourself is believing you're the best. But if you don't believe in yourself, no one else is gonna believe in you. And the middle's up to the haters.
Thanks for that.